The story begins with Mason and Amelia, a wealthy couple traveling on their private jet to attend a grand party. The night is filled with luxury, glamour, and some of the richest people in the world. Among all the guests, one man stands above the rest. Perez, the billionaire host of the event and the owner of an unbelievable fortune. While casually talking during the party, Mason mentions his passion for luxury cars and proudly says that he owns an enormous collection himself. Hearing this, Perez becomes instantly interested because he shares the same obsession. Excitedly, he invites Mason and Amelia to see his private garage, a hidden paradise filled with some of the rarest automobiles ever built. Inside the garage, Perez proudly reveals his most prized possession, a legendary car valued at nearly $200 million. The vehicle looks almost unreal, like a masterpiece built beyond imagination. Mason and Amelia stare at it in complete awe and ask Perez if they can sit inside the car. Perez happily agrees, enjoying their admiration. But at that exact moment, Amelia secretly gives a signal to a hacker named Link. Suddenly, the lights across the garage shut off. Darkness consumes the room. Before Perez can react, Mason's men attack him and throw him to the ground. In seconds, the elegant atmosphere of the party turns into chaos. Mason jumps into the driver's seat, starts the engine, and speeds away with the priceless automobile. It is then revealed that Mason and Amelia were never innocent guests at the party. They are actually professional thieves, and their entire appearance at the event was part of a carefully planned robbery designed to steal Perez's legendary car. The crew quickly loads the vehicle into a massive truck and prepares to escape the country before anyone can stop them. But just when victory seems certain, FBI agents suddenly appear, blocking their path. A dangerous chase immediately begins. Mason is shocked. He cannot understand how the FBI discovered their operation so quickly. Then the horrifying truth is revealed. Amelia slowly points a gun directly at him. In that moment, Mason realizes everything. Amelia was never truly his partner in crime. She is an undercover FBI agent who pretended to fall in love with him only to bring him down from the inside. The first bullet doesn't pierce the body. It pierces the ego. And for Mason, the pain is unbearable because unlike Amelia, he genuinely loved her. Even with his heart shattered, Mason remains calm and activates Plan B. His men drive several vehicles straight into a river, creating massive confusion for the FBI. Amid the chaos, Mason and his crew successfully escape, although the stolen car is lost during the operation. 3 months later, Mason is living quietly on the outskirts of the city. After years of crime and betrayal, he appears to have abandoned his old life for good. One day, his younger brother Sin visits him unexpectedly. Sin tells Mason about a bank robbery he is planning and asks him to join the mission. However, Mason immediately refuses. He says he has retired from crime and wants no part in another dangerous operation. Sin desperately tries to convince him, insisting that this robbery could change everything for them. But Mason refuses again and again. Finally, realizing he cannot change his brother's mind, Sin prepares to leave. Before walking away, he hands Mason a phone and tells him that if he ever changes his mind, he can call and join the crew. 3 days pass, and Mason's answer never changes. He has no interest in returning to crime. But on the day of the robbery, Mason suddenly receives a call from Link, angrily asking why he has not arrived for the mission yet. Mason is confused because he never agreed to participate. The truth is shocking. Sin lied to the entire crew and told them Mason was already involved in the plan. Meanwhile, Sin waits inside a coffee shop directly across from the target bank. He knows the bank manager visits the cafe every single morning before work, and he patiently waits for the perfect moment to strike. As soon as the manager enters the coffee shop, Sin pulls out a gun and takes him hostage. Calmly but dangerously, he says, "We know each other. I'm going to need your finger. No, not that one, the thumb. I'm going to need your help to rob the bank." With the gun pressed against him, the terrified manager is forced toward the bank entrance. But before they can enter, Mason suddenly appears and stops them. He warns Sin that the robbery is too dangerous and tells him they could both die if they continue. However, Sin insists it is already too late because the rest of the crew is already inside the building waiting for the operation to begin. When Mason finally enters the bank, he notices that Sin's gang has blended perfectly among the customers while disguised as ordinary civilians. Sin drags the manager toward a corner and orders him to open the security door. But instead of cooperating, the manager secretly activates the alarm system. Within seconds, panic erupts throughout the entire bank. Sirens begin screaming. Armed guards rush into action and immediately open fire on the robbers, throwing the building into complete chaos. The gunfight is brutal but short. Mason's crew quickly overpowers the security guards and takes everyone inside the bank hostage. Only then does Sin finally reveal the true reason for the robbery. He explains that he is searching for a locker belonging to a mysterious woman named Isabel Frell. According to him, the locker contains a hard drive worth millions of dollars in cryptocurrency. Mason forces the bank manager to lead him toward the vault and demands that he open the locker immediately. But there is a serious problem. The locker requires 2 separate keys to unlock it. One key belongs to the bank manager, while the second key belongs to Isabel herself. Without both keys, the locker cannot be opened. Sin never obtained the second key. At that moment, Mason realizes his brother entered this robbery completely unprepared. Furious, he lashes out at Sin for dragging everyone into such a reckless mission. With no other option remaining, Mason orders Link to hack the vault system. Link quickly begins working on the security network and manages to bypass the system within minutes. The vault finally opens. But when Mason retrieves the contents inside, he discovers only a fake box. The bank manager smiles maliciously and reveals that even he does not know where the real boxes are hidden. Mason's anger grows even stronger as he realizes the entire robbery may have been based on incomplete information. Once again, he blames Sin for putting everyone's lives at risk. Meanwhile, outside the bank, the situation becomes even worse. The entire building is now surrounded by heavily armed tactical units and FBI agents preparing for a siege. Leading the operation is none other than Amelia, Mason's former lover and the woman who betrayed him months earlier. Amelia quickly establishes communication with the robbers inside the bank. Link initially responds with sarcastic jokes and witty comments, trying to delay negotiations, but Amelia is not fooled for even a second. She demands to speak directly with Mason. When Link informs him, Mason freezes after hearing Amelia's name. Instantly, painful memories return to him. For a brief moment, the fearless criminal who never feared death feels the emotional pain of betrayal once again. But Mason forces himself to regain control. He reminds himself that Amelia is no longer the woman he loved. She is now his enemy, and her only goal is to capture everyone inside the bank. Suppressing his emotions, Mason finally begins negotiating with the FBI. He demands that all FBI forces move back 50 feet away from the bank, or he will begin executing hostages one by one. In addition to that, Mason requests pizza and beer for his crew. But there is one final condition. He specifically demands that Amelia personally bring the food inside the bank herself. Amelia agrees to his terms. However, in exchange, she demands the release of 2 hostages first. Mason agrees to Amelia's demand without hesitation. Soon afterward, all the hostages are gathered and moved into an upper room while Mason's crew prepares for Amelia's arrival inside the bank. A few moments later, Amelia walks through the entrance carrying boxes filled with pizza and drinks. The atmosphere immediately becomes tense. Mason greets her warmly, unable to hide the feelings he still carries for her despite everything that happened between them. But Amelia remains completely cold. She ignores his emotions and instead urges him once again to surrender before the situation gets worse. Mason calmly refuses. After a brief exchange, he sends her back outside. Staying true to his word, he distributes the food among his crew and releases 2 hostages as promised. But suddenly, something completely unexpected happens. The bank manager attacks one of Mason's guards, steals his gun, and escapes through the bank. Chaos erupts instantly. Mason immediately chases after him through the corridors in a tense pursuit. After a dangerous struggle, Mason finally catches him and forces him to reveal the truth about Isabel Frell. Terrified, the manager finally confesses everything. Isabel Frell is the wife of Avel, the most dangerous gangster in the entire country. Avel is not only feared because of his criminal empire, but also because he is protected by highly influential politicians who secretly work with him. The manager explains that the missing hard drive likely contains evidence proving the politicians' crimes and corruption. If the information on that drive is ever exposed to the public, the entire government could collapse overnight. Hearing this, Mason realizes the robbery is now much bigger than simple money. Instead of backing away, he decides to continue searching for the hard drive, seeing it as the perfect opportunity to blackmail powerful people and secure a safe escape for himself and his crew. Meanwhile, outside the bank, a mysterious black car suddenly arrives. Inside sits Avel himself alongside his lawyer, Alex. Avel immediately pressures Amelia, warning her that if the thieves are not captured within 1 hour, the United States Army will personally invade the bank. Amelia is shocked by the level of authority Avel seems to possess. Confused, she contacts her supervisor for answers. That is when she learns the terrifying truth. Alex is Avel's personal lawyer, and because of Avel's deep political connections, even the FBI has limited power against him. The FBI's new priority becomes brutally simple: get the robbers out of the bank as quickly as possible. Because if the military storms the building, both the criminals and the innocent hostages could end up dead. Inside the bank, Mason and his crew begin smashing through walls while searching for a hidden chamber where Isabel's real vault is supposedly concealed. But every wall they destroy reveals yet another barrier behind it, slowing their progress and increasing the tension. Outside, military vehicles already surround the entire building as soldiers prepare for a full assault. Desperate to prevent a massacre, Amelia urgently contacts Mason again and begs him to surrender. She warns him that if the army enters the bank alive, nobody inside will survive. But Mason already has another plan in mind. Instead of surrendering, he asks Amelia to secretly leak information to the media that the army is preparing to attack the bank. Mason understands that once the entire country is watching live on television, the military will no longer be free to act recklessly. Amelia takes a huge risk and agrees. She leaks the information to the press. Within minutes, the news spreads across the country. Media vans, reporters, and cameras rapidly gather outside the bank, broadcasting the crisis live for millions to see. The FBI chief becomes furious when he discovers what Amelia has done. Enraged by her disobedience, he immediately removes her from the operation. Then he directly contacts Mason himself and gives him a final warning. If his crew does not surrender within 15 minutes, the army will storm the building. Inside the bank, Mason and his crew finally locate the hidden chamber where Isabel's real locker is supposedly hidden. Mason immediately orders Link to hack the vault system again. However, Link warns him that the security protecting this vault is far more advanced than before, and that breaking through it will require at least 10 minutes. The problem is that the army plans to attack in only 8. Realizing time is running out, Mason quickly comes up with another strategy. He begins releasing hostages one after another in order to delay the military assault and buy more time for Link to finish hacking the system. As the hostages continue leaving the bank, the tension outside grows more intense with every passing second. Finally, even the bank manager and the remaining hostages are released safely. With no civilians left inside, Mason's crew members slowly begin surrendering as well, walking outside with their hands raised in the air. Soon, only Mason and Link remain inside the bank. Outside, the FBI chief loses patience completely. Furious and desperate to end the situation, he gives the order to shoot Mason on sight. The soldiers storm the building and begin searching every floor and corridor. Eventually, they reach the vault room deep inside the bank. There, Mason stands waiting for them while holding a bomb in his hand. Before the soldiers can react, a massive explosion tears through the bank. The blast shakes the entire building violently, killing the soldiers instantly. And according to the world, Mason dies in the explosion as well. His story appears to end in complete tragedy, destroyed by the reckless decisions made by his younger brother, Sin. But if you think the story ends there, the biggest twist is still waiting to be revealed. Several months after the bank incident, Amelia resigns from the FBI. Disgusted by corruption and manipulation within the system, she decides she no longer wants to continue working for the government. To clear her mind and escape everything, she travels to a private island for a peaceful vacation. However, the moment she arrives, she discovers someone already waiting for her there. Mason, alive. At that moment, the truth behind everything is finally revealed. From the very beginning, Mason and Amelia had secretly been working together the entire time. Love or alliance. In both cases, trust is the currency, and betrayal is the compound interest. The failed theft of Perez's priceless car was never a real failure at all. It was carefully staged so the FBI would fully believe Amelia was loyal to them and would never suspect her true relationship with Mason. The story then returns to the day of the supposed explosion inside the bank. When the army entered the building, Mason demanded a private meeting with Aval's lawyer, Alex. Although the FBI resisted the request at first, the political pressure surrounding the situation left them with no choice but to allow it. Once Alex arrived, Mason revealed his true intentions. He threatened Alex and demanded a transfer of $500 million into his account. In addition to the money, he also demanded completely new identities for himself and every member of his crew so they could disappear forever and begin brand new lives. Despite all of its power and influence, Aval's empire had no choice but to accept Mason's demands. The hard drive was simply too dangerous to risk losing. What the world witnessed as a deadly explosion was actually nothing more than a carefully designed simulation, a fake detonation created to fool everyone into believing Mason had died inside the bank. In reality, Mason and his team escaped safely without suffering any harm. Now, with brand new identities and unlimited wealth, Mason and Amelia leave behind their lives of crime, deception, and undercover operations forever, stepping into a completely new future together. Cunning can fool everyone except the consequences. In a world where trust becomes currency and betrayal earns interest, control always demands a higher price in the end. And with that, the story finally comes to an end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.